Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Seahawk Talk here on the Salve Athletics Network. I'm your host, Andrew Pezzelli, and we're coming to you live through Facebook, YouTube, and Periscope from Twitter. We've got a great show for you lined up here today. We'll be joined by Jody Mooradian, Adam Zaccara, Pat Cooney, and Andrew McKeon, an assistant coach with our baseball team. Can't wait to talk to them and to our producers. But first, as always, we remind you to keep your distance. That is Ed Habishaw with his rendition of Keep Your Distance by The Shake, a Rhode Island-based band with a message that we can apply worldwide. Social distancing, hand washing, mask wearing, you've heard all about it, on and on and on. We will continue to be a broken record here on Seahawk Talk about those very simple and easy things that all of us can do. Want to bring in the producers now, Joey Morelli and Mike DeFusco, to help kick us off on this week, the final week of 2020. Fellas, how was your Christmas?
It was amazing, and now I'm just glad we can get this year over with, and we're into the 2021 year now.
Yeah, I'm over it. Like, I don't even.
Yeah, just those noises, Joey. Just those noises say, "Oh,
that was more better than words could express." Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, fellas, what do you guys have here to kick us off this week? The final week of Seahawk Talk here in Season 2. So, what do you got to lead us off with?
Well, since we're ending the year now, the Newport Patches we've been doing is doing their year in review for animal stories. And this one is, I think, a favorite here. This is, so if you go to the Potter League, which is in Middletown, they will do a poorly drawn pet portrait for you, but they're not really poorly drawn. If you go down, I'll show you a few. They're pretty good and only $15. And these are all donations too, so they're obviously used for good reasons. Here's one. This is Ophelia, someone's cat, and
good.
see, even that's much better than I can do. And then this one's even better right here. He's got the crown, some jewels in it, and everything. This is
and
Hunter.
Sass too. I mean, that cat's got sass.
See, that's why it's called the real Tiger King, I believe. So that's the real Tiger King, and then the last one, Millie. This one I think is my favorite just because the detail, around the nose and all that. I think that's very nice. So it says poorly done, but not very poorly done, and only $15 for a good cause. So if you want your pet drawn, go to the Potter League.
Cool. Joey, now didn't you say you knew somebody doing something similar to this?
Yeah, my friend, one of my streaming friends, occasionally will do like poorly drawn streams where we'll just like pick a thing and like draw them terribly. Like we're supposed to be doing poorly drawn snowmen the other day and we never got around to it. Are you trying to segue into your poorly drawn snowman?
I was going to ask, can I submit mine for judgment if you guys want to go ahead and bring it? There we go. Yeah.
See, you used the circle tool initially, but I'm saying you did it by hand. It's got more character now.
That's it.
I mean, his hat is basically it's just it's one of those people, they just barely put the hat on the top of the head. That's the style he's going. It's a little off center either way. But I did give him a scarf. I had enough seconds here to scribble and paint before we went live to give him a scarf. I was planning on giving him like a selfie stick and putting a Joe Exotic poster in the background, but ran out of time.
Yeah, of course. Well, I'll bring in my thing now. We're talking about animals. We got Newport Daily News. They have a top animal story. I love it. This is like what's at top of the news right now. Like fun stuff. This is what I want to see. They did a little feature on the Hope Alpaca Farm in Little Compton, where you can like go and visit, and it's outside, and you can see alpacas, and it's like. And they're like, it's the perfect place to go with your family because you can learn about them, you can buy stuff there, the alpacas are really cute, you can pet them, like, it's the perfect place to go.
I didn't know they could have those like around. That's awesome. I'm gonna have to go see this because I've never seen an alpaca in my life. That's one of those like obscure kind of.
I feel like I see alpacas everywhere. Like in Martha's Vineyard, I went to.
You just don't run in the same circles as Joey does.
No,
Mike.
Yeah,
honestly,
Joey's just-
no.
it's too cool.
I feel like it's probably the same alpacas, but like every if I go to like a not a farmer's market, what's the word? Like a fair thing, there's always people who like have their alpacas there, and they like sell the stuff made from the wool. Like it's probably the same people. Like I don't know. It's probably like this one people, and they go around like the New England. And I see them all. I feel like I see them all. I feel like I see alpacas more than I should be. But I like this quote at the beginning, where the owner says, "I love them. They're easier than cows, and they have personalities." And like, what a dig at cows. Like cows, okay. And then cows really don't have personalities, but I feel like if it has a personality, it must be harder than a cow, because like they could be stubborn or like mischievous. I don't know what kind of personalities these alpacas have, but
Maybe it's just style.
true.
I mean, they look like they got
Look at their
you can have
hair.
more
Like,
style.
that's a
Let's say
great
the hair.
yeah,
The
look
hair's
at it.
nice.
Do
Yeah,
you call
could
it
brush that.
mane? Is it?
I don't know.
Is it
I
a
believe-
mane? Is
probably
it
wool.
I
hair?
think that's the correct term for it. Yeah, biologically correct term: the mane and the tail.
Yeah,
That's cool. So where is this? It's in Little Compton.
Little Compton. Yeah.
Does it give Hope,
It's Hope
Alpaca
Alpaca.
Farm?
Let me see if there's like a more specific description.
I'm sure the Oracle, meaning Google Maps, will know.
Yeah, if you ask, yeah, they got a website down here, hopealpacafarm.com. Yeah, I don't think it really says any more specific where they are, but I feel like I knew where they were, because I feel like my friend wanted to go there one time, but I don't remember.
Cool.
But yeah, another fun story.
I wanted to bring up, we talked a lot about things last week with guests. What do you want for Christmas, or what did you always want for Christmas as a kid? Well, I gotta give a big shout out to the South Virginia Athletics Department, Jody and Ed. My Christmas wish list included a standing desk, so as not to destroy my legs anymore, sitting in wooden chairs. And I am very appreciative, and that is what I'm utilizing right now. If you go ahead and bring that picture in, this is the standing desk. That's what it looks like. So it's the hybrid one that can go up and can go down. So when I want to sit, I've got a nice new office chair I can sit in. You can see here the wooden chairs that I had been sitting in. Not good for the nerves.
I at least have like an office chair already, and like I got one of those things for your back, for like the arch in your back. But like I should just stand. Like if I just point the camera up, we'll just see my shirt every day.
Yeah. So no. So now when I want to stand, I stand, and when we want to sit, we sit. It's glorious. It's wonderful.
It's such a subtle difference. See, like you can't even really I couldn't tell at first that you were standing today, but I think that's much healthier than
Absolutely.
sitting. Yeah, we'll have to look this up, but I'm pretty sure that my teacher in high school was saying he had one. There are some studies to say it makes you more productive, because Joey, you were saying
I did.
that you
Yeah,
were writing faster, so I think
one
that might
time.
be true.
Well,
probably like the blood flows better. It's clearly better.
Well, I mean,
We
think
just don't
about-
want to admit it.
Think about that. I mean, I notice and I know. What is it? Occam's razor. The simplest explanation is
Yeah,
is usually the right
the
one.
right one.
I had my yearly physical, and I'm talking to my doctor like, "Oh, my neck hurts, and like my
Oh, yeah.
chest hurts, and like my arm, my back." He's like, "Well, what do you do all day?" I was like, I work in my office." He's like, "Do you lean on your desk?" And I was like, "Huh, yeah, I do lean like this." And he's like, "Look at your neck right now. Look at your pecs. What are you doing?" I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm basically just like this
Oh.
for half the day, and then I go to sleep and I curl up in a ball." So
Yeah.
this is it's making everything feel a lot better. Standing up is good. Standing
Yeah.
up is good.
Like
So-
my neck hurts all the time. I know why. I can't fix it.
Yeah. So standing desk. Very appreciative. A+ reviews already. It's been
A+ reviews.
been 3 days and three thumbs way up. So
We'll have to give out our top recommendations for the standing desk. We'll find the best ones for you guys.
yes.
Highest quality standing desk.
Instead of top 5 favorite Christmas movies, top 5 favorite standing desks. But maybe we have to do it like a draft.
Yeah.
Oh man, you picked the Axios cherry wood one. I was gonna pick that one. Darn. So.
And IKEA will be nowhere near anyone's top 5.
Well, I will say the instructions for this were a step up from IKEA. So, You never know. But anyway, fellas, great stuff as always. Glad you guys had a good Christmas, and we'll get into this final week of the show. So I'll let you guys get to work behind the scenes, and we'll get along to our first guest.
All right.
All right, that's Joey Morelli and Mike DeFusco, the producers here on Seahawk Talk. We want to go next to the athletic director of Salve Regina, Jody Mooradian. Jody, welcome back to the show. How are we doing?
Good. How are you? I hope you had a good Christmas.
I did. I don't know if you were tuned in already, but thank you. The desk.
Yes.
I'm loving the desk. Look at. I'm happier. I'm standing. Everything is aligned. It feels good.
Yeah, your hair's flowing. So I wanted to say that's how you do broadcasts. So of course you need to stand.
Yeah. No, I'm feeling a little more like normal now that I'm standing instead of sitting down. We're athletics. We want to move. We want to be doing stuff, and especially me. I'm doing it right now as an Italian. I speak with my hands. It's hard to speak with your hands when you're sitting down. So now I'm in my element. So
Okay, and I really like the alpaca story, and I am gonna get the Potter League to draw my animals unless you three want to try.
I mean, did you see my snowman? I don't know if you necessarily. It depends on how badly drawn you want it. If you want like a good bad drawing, go to the Potter League. If you want a bad drawing, come to me.
Right. I want a good bad drawing. Never mind. And I think Joey has a little bit of alpaca on his hairdo today, so that's my theme. But yeah, so it was great to have a little holiday, and I'm glad everybody had a little time. But of course, you're back working, so hey.
Yeah, working. It doesn't. Some days it doesn't feel like work, so which is good.
No, it's not work. It's what we love. But I was thinking today, everybody would be, all our basketballs and the hockeys would be coming back today and tomorrow.
Yeah, so, normally they'd usually like going away on a tournament or something. I mean, a couple of years ago, our men's team hosted. They were down at Martha's Vineyard hosting games.
And you were at when we won the one at UMass Boston, the Quahog champs.
Yeah.
That was over this.
Yeah,
time.
they like kicked us out of that tournament. I think they didn't like that we won it back-to-back years.
I know. That's
hosts don't like
true.
Hosts don't like when they lose their own tournament back-to-back years.
They didn't set up a tournament to have us come in and win. But yeah, I wish we were all coming back now. But next week we'll all be at work. Right now, luckily, the governor has raised or eliminated the restrictions on gyms. They can be open with social distancing. So we're hoping we'll at least be able to get started with maybe some of the local kids or the kids that are living in Newport. And a lot of conferences over the last 2 days have announced plans for the spring.
That's good.
That was really good to see instead of the other way. So I'm just hoping that it'll be starting up January 19th.
Yes, very hopeful. So Jody, this will be, again, we're all fingers crossed, but if things go according to plan, this will be our final Seahawk Talk week of the year. Since we'll be taking at least a break and hoping to have games. So kind of put a bow on everything, how would you sum up how things have gone from March till now, and then what you're looking forward to and wishing for most in the year ahead?
Well, as we say, and we talk about it every time, you learn so much about people when faced with adversity and the different way of doing things. And I have to say, even though I really hate that it's different, I've seen so many people stand up and do good things. And I've seen our young men and women just pour themselves into still their team, still their school, and creating spirit. And I've seen people just looking out for each other. And that's what we say we're supposed to do, but we don't always even have the opportunity, or we just, everything's going so smoothly, we ignore that part of who we are. And, just for example, Bill Villarreal was out delivering Christmas dinners to some of his kids, just whatever day Christmas was. So it's all those things together that I think we're going to be back stronger as people, and certainly a shared experience. I mean, we wish it was like a national championship, but this shared experience will always bond us. So, but please get this year over.
Yeah, I know. We got 3 more days. 3 more days. It's unbelievable. And you say people say time flies when you're having fun. I don't think we've been having fun, but I
No.
think kind of what you bring up Bill, he's talked about is just putting your head down and working through it.
Yeah.
There's nothing else
Yeah,
you
we
can do.
say
And
that,
I think
and yep, and now
I
we've
think a
lived
lot
it.
of us have just put our heads down and worked through, and it's actually quite surprising how much time has gone by in doing
Yeah,
that.
I can't. It's true. I mean, if you really think we stopped March 15th, and we haven't had a game since then, but we still feel connected, and especially this show. So thank you so much. And like this has been a connection. So that's what people have found new ways to do what we want to do, and I just I'll say it again, but the thing you and I miss the most is just seeing people face to face, talking with our student athletes, watching them play, just celebrating them. So they're probably going to get annoyed with us, quite frankly, once they start again, because they won't be able to get rid of us. We'll be at every game all the time, trying to get close. Hey, we're just happy to be there.
Awesome. Yeah. And I was going to say, Jody, I appreciate you taking the time every week to come on here, give us the updates. Some weeks, there's not much to say, or at least there's not much good things to say, but you always come on, you take the time. I've been very appreciative of that. So thank you for taking the time each week, coming on, bringing us the news from the top, even if it's not always good news, but wrapping it up in a way and presenting it to us that helps us stay informed and, as you said, connected. So really appreciative of that.
Yeah, it's been great. And this has been good for me, too, because now I know when it's Monday. Otherwise, I just lose track of it.
That is true. Again, that's another way time goes by. You're just not even aware of time. Time doesn't exist. So how can you be aware of its passage?
No, we just muddle through. Meetings muddle, and on we go.
I'll ask you a fun question to kind of wrap things up here. We've talked about Christmas and Thanksgiving and holiday. Do you have any New Year's Eve traditions? Some people always get Chinese food. Some people binge they do a movie marathon. Some people have different New Year's Eve traditions as well. Do you have any New Year's Eve traditions you want to try and uphold this year?
Well, I won't be able to uphold one. I know I'm not staying up till midnight. It's just been too weary this year. Too weary. I do enjoy drinking champagne and but normally we go out for dinner. Obviously, we're not going out for dinner. So I have found the Hallmark Channel, though. That is something that, sadly, I've started watching a lot of those. So I'll probably watch some sappy movie and ring in the New Year, bottle of champagne, and probably I'll be ringing in the New Year at 10. Maybe that's pretty late nowadays.
Well, I mean, hey, it's midnight somewhere, right?
Yeah, I'm celebrating in Europe.
Yeah. Atlantic time. Yeah,
maybe
you're celebrating one time
zone.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Well, maybe I'll go see the alpacas first, but then I'm going to really whoop it up.
Nice. All right, Jody, thanks again for taking the time. Hopefully, the next time I'm seeing you, like you said, face to face. And at a game somewhere. So Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Happy New Year to you and to all the Seahawks. Take care.
All right. Take it easy now. That's Jody Mooradian, the athletic director here at Salve Regina. We're going to take a quick break and be right back with Adam Zaccara, the head coach of our men's and women's tennis team. Don't go anywhere. All right, welcome back to Seahawk Talk. I'm your host, Andrew Pezzelli. We're going to go next to the head coach of our men's and women's tennis programs, Adam Zaccara. Adam, how are we?
I'm doing great. How are you, Andrew?
Good. How was your Christmas? I know you spent it with your family, but just kind of tell us how the last week went. And how the holidays were.
I've been home in Connecticut at my mother's. I'm still here, and it went really well. It was just my mom and I, just the two of us, and I cooked a big ham and a couple recipe dishes that were good. So it was nice.
Kind of with everybody this week, we're going to be wrapping up the year since we are counting down. We've been counting down since like April, but this week where the countdown is real now for 2020 and getting on to 2021. So there's going to be a lot of those same kind of themed questions for everybody. But for you, Coach, what are the good things that you'll take away from 2020?
Yeah, that's definitely what I want to concentrate on are the positives, right? The things that we could take away from it. And I think we all learned this, we all had a good sense of appreciation of being a Seahawk and being part of Salve community. But I think when something is taken away for a brief period and then returned to you, you have a greater affection for it. And I know that when we returned to campus in the fall, everyone was so excited, especially to have something like being on a sport, being on the tennis team, and being able to be part of something again after being on a lockdown nationwide. So just having an appreciation, gratitude, camaraderie. I bet everyone's even studying harder, working harder. I've seen that kind of trend. That's been a positive turn for 2020.
What will be the goals that you're setting for yourself and for the team for 2021?
Just to keep the momentum going, and the momentum we have right now is that we feel like champions. We feel like we can win and play against any team and beat them. I see a really good sense of leadership and people setting the right examples. So those goals, I just want to keep everything going the way that practice has been going, and then put it into effect when we get the matches going.
Without games, without matches, a lot of emphasis has been put on what the players and teams are doing off the court. And so many teams have done a lot of wonderful things, and athletes have gotten involved in so many different ways. So really, how they've represented themselves and represented Salve Regina and all that other stuff has been highlighted, and the microscope has been put on that. How would you say, your team has done with that, and what it really means to represent Salve Regina, moving back to representing Salve Regina as a student and as an athlete?
Yeah, I think, being on a varsity sport at Salve, being a Seahawk, it's a privilege. And as you said earlier, to represent, when you're wearing our Salve Seahawk emblem that I have on here outside of campus, you're bringing a part of campus everywhere you go and representing properly. And I'm really proud of my tennis teams, both the women and men have stepped up, especially in this year. Recently we just had that can drive, and they, for those with need, in time of need, and both teams, the captains and a lot of the players stepped up, and I know that they donated to it. So I was proud of them, as well as just staying in touch with each other and pushing each other at practice and pushing each other for workouts outside of practice. So all good from my teams.
Yeah. How much are you looking forward to? I know you guys got the brand new courts. I know you're excited about that. With everything kind of being brought back home, teams are going to be trying to practice and play as close to Salve as possible. And especially for you guys, the new courts, the better viewing experience. Are you looking forward to creating more of that campus environment and getting the teams kind of connected and having more attendance, generating more on-campus school spirit?
Absolutely. I'd love to see, a little more participation from fans, and I take that upon ourselves to get the word out when we have matches and bring people to the courts. Tennis is such a fun sport to watch, and Salve being a smaller community, a smaller school, everyone kind of knows each other, and it's great to be able to walk around to each court and see your friends play and compete, and the the talents that they have that they might not know from in the classroom.
With it being the winter and everybody home for break, hopefully heading back to campus sometime in January. But bad weather it's either too cold or it's icy or rainy, like we saw on Christmas Day. For tennis, how can you stay sharp? How can an athlete still work on their game and still work on their skill? What are things they can do? Maybe sort of tips or tricks like, hey, if you're home and you're stuck inside, you could do X, Y, or Z. What are things that a tennis athlete can do in the wintertime when you can't necessarily get outside and be on a court with good conditions?
Yeah, tennis is such a cardio sport, so I think watching at-home videos and any kind of workout that gets your heart racing a little bit is great. Just keeping your body moving, and lifting weights is great, but you want to keep the cardio going so you have that endurance when you're out there on the court in a third set. We want to know what you have in the tank. So I like to see them working out all year round.
Yeah. You mentioned in our little pre-show questionnaire, one of the things you wanted to highlight was the Habershaw years and great Salve coaches. So, I know there's probably hours worth of stories and things probably from the playing days. I know you have a lot of appreciation and respect for being able to have played under Ed and now getting to work with him. But what specifically would you like to highlight about those years and about the Salve coaches now?
Yeah, I think we've got a unique place to be participating in sports as the student athletes, also as a coach, because of the great success Salve has had in the past and recently. We've got a lot of legacy here with the tennis. With Ed Habershaw, won so many championships with, I know, 4 with the men, and I believe he might have won almost, I think, 8 with the women. And then after him, Brian Shanley, I think he won a collective of 10 championships. And then you look at the baseball teams and soccer teams, and Eric Sorella, of course, has been part of playing on teams for I'm forgetting the coach. I was just at his Hall of Fame induction, and starts with an A. Please help me out. Andrade,
Yes.
from the baseball team, and to have that kind of legacy with coaches is pretty inspiring. It's been great.
So everybody's hopeful for the new year, for 2021. We're praying it's going to be better. For you guys, I know the big hope is to get out on those courts, to get playing. If and when, and hopefully it seems more likely than not that will happen. What are your expectations, and what are you hoping for most out of your team this year?
I'm really keeping my fingers crossed, as I know we all are, that it happens. Saying that it will happen, this will be a unique spring because we're going to make up some lost time, and we're going to play both the men's and women's matches together. So, for example, Johnson Wales, who's in our division, or Roger Williams, we would go play them and bring both the men's and women's team, have 3 matches from the women's out on 3 courts and 3 from the men's on the other 3 courts, and then put the next 3 out. And I bring up Johnson Wales because we actually did that against them last year, and I really love the format, and I think it's a way for both of our teams to really push each other to do better, and get some wins under our belts.
Any other closing notes, Adam? If things go according to plan, this will be the last time we speak to each other on Seahawk Talk in 2020, and then hopefully 2021, because we'll be playing games. We'll be face to face. Any closing thoughts or notes that you'd like to give to the listeners or anybody watching?
Well, as we said earlier, the positive takeaways from 2020, and Jody had mentioned it in her broadcast. The Seahawk Talk has been excellent, and I will miss it, hearing from everyone, all the other sports teams' perspectives, and there's always a little something that you can pick up from listening to everyone talk about their experiences. So I'll miss that, and definitely you guys did a great job. So I want to thank you for that.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you so much, Adam, for each week taking the time to come on here. I know it's not always easy. We didn't always have the best weeks with like a lot of positive news, but we always found a way, and I appreciate you taking the time to come on here, and looking forward to seeing you actually with my own two eyes face to face sometime soon.
I look forward to it as well. Thank you, Andrew.
All right, take it easy now. That's Adam Zaccara, the head coach of our men's and women's tennis team. We're going to go next to the head coach of our men's lacrosse team, Pat Cooney. Pat, how we doing?
Doing great. How you doing?
Good. I'll start first with, how was Christmas? How were the holidays? How was spending time with the family?
It was good. It was very good. I got 4 kids and all different ages. So we cover the whole gamut. My youngest is in 3rd grade. Then we have Marin in 5th, Nora in 9th, and Liam, as you know, is freshman here at Salve. So it was great. Did a lot of traditional things, as you can imagine, gift giving, whatnot. It was great. And we connected via phone and Zoom to family all around.
Is it harder or easier on Santa Claus to get gifts when you have kids that are all kind of separated like that? Because I know having 3 little cousins who are all the same age, you get one of them something, you need to get all 3 of them something.
Yes,
So,
yes. And it's all about technology now. It's not just the ball and the bat anymore. So, yes, there's always challenges, but this year I think we pulled it off. We didn't hear too many complaints at the end of the day, so it seemed to be a success. We're going with that.
We're all looking forward to the end of 2020 here and the beginning of 2021, and there's a lot of hopefulness around that. And there's still so many unknowns regarding, schedules, when you guys will play, how you guys will play. So many things will be in flux, even when nothing will be set in stone for sure. How do you prepare for that as coaches? How do you prepare your players for that? And how do those two things differ at all, if at all?
Well, I think, sports is a great analogy for life. And then this year, all the more, 2020 is just so much more unpredictable. But we talk to our student athletes about expecting the unexpected. Whether you talk day to day, within the course of a season, injuries, and then the biggest factor is the other team. And then with COVID now, I think you're going to see the schedules be in flux, and the ability to be flexible is going to be key here, both macro and micro wise.
Yeah. No matter what happens, are you proud of what this team's been able to do, having to go through how the last spring ended and then working through everything this fall? Are you proud of what they've accomplished already through this?
I am. I am. At the same time, I'm cognizant that I think a lot of the other teams are in that same position. And I think this collective adversity has probably in many cases helped teams out. I'm sure at times it hasn't. But at the same time, I think for us, there's that challenge of the unknown. Once again, expecting the unexpected. And I think we put our guys in a good position to come just to appreciate every day, every opportunity they have. And that we try to talk to them regularly about that in life. They really can't control certain things, but there are certain things you can control.
I know you've spoken already some about your captains and your seniors and their leadership on this team. I guess, again, kind of highlight them and what they've meant to this team. And also, I know you have class captains, for each class, and the job that they have done as well, because with the potting and so much of that stuff, there's had to been probably extra people stepping up into a leadership role. So just sum up how your leaders have done so far this year.
They've done an outstanding job. They really have, Andrew. We have a large team this year numerically, and then you alluded to pods and the situation where we wanted to utilize our assets, and we did have many leaders at all different levels. So we had 3 overall captains, and then we appointed class captains, the senior, the junior, and the sophomores. And from there, we're able to delineate out opportunities, responsibilities, marching orders, so to speak. Also, just keep tabs on each other, especially in light of the mental aspects of these challenges that they have. So they've done an outstanding job, and I think it's put us in a position for success. But once again, you're staring at it all the time, and you wonder if at the end of the day is this is going to, translate to success on the field. We'll see. Grades are coming in right now, so I'm expecting that literally as we speak. So I'm looking forward to seeing how we did in the fall. And that's a huge part of our success on the field. As we do well academically, often you'll do very well athletically.
Yeah. I've asked this question of a number of our coaches. I hadn't get a chance to ask it of you yet. It's kind of more of a fun one. What is Pat Cooney's lacrosse origin story? How did lacrosse start for you?
I think I was more into hockey and soccer and things like that growing up. I grew up with the 1980 hockey team and all that kind of stuff. And that was really hot with me growing up on Long Island with the Islanders. But where I grew up, that neck of the woods is lacrosse is very prevalent. And I really couldn't get away from it, so to speak. So I was kind of born into that neck of the woods and went to very good athletically ranked high schools in lacrosse, and just really blessed to be around great players. Even one of my better friends growing up, who I went to high school with, his dad was Team USA's head coach. So I was really blessed to be around good coaches, good student athletes at a high level. And it's really just given me appreciation for the game. And just relationships through that. People I've met, and it's been outstanding. But I grew up in Garden City, South New York, and went to Chaminade High School, and it was hard to really get away from lacrosse in those neck of the woods.
Kind of another fun question I'm going to be asking our guests. We've talked so much about the Christmas traditions and Thanksgiving and things like that. Some people have New Year's traditions as well. I know I like to get Chinese food every New Year's Eve, and then watch some movies up until midnight. What are there any New Year's Eve traditions for Pat Cooney? Get the kids to bed.
Once again, with the family, we really just packing it at home, especially this year. But a lot of good food, including Chinese food. That's big for my Nora. She's very keen on Chinese, and then we just sit around the TV, play some games, see what's going on. Try to watch the ball drop. Now that the kids are a little older, they can all stay up to midnight, and then usually about, if I'm lucky, 12:03, I'm in bed.
Yeah. I remember Jody joked about this. She's like, maybe I'll go to bed at like 10. And I say, well, that's midnight somewhere, with time zones. And I remember as a kid one time being sent to bed at 10:30 p.m. I was like, it's not midnight. And they were like, no, look, they're showing fireworks going off. It's midnight. I was like, Ma, that's like Iceland. Like, it's not fair. I want to stay up till midnight here. Too
it's
funny.
With our kids, they do struggle at times to stay up some years. They've gotten better, like I said, as they've gotten older.
Yeah.
So I think they're up for the challenge this year, especially with all the little devices they have now.
Yeah. Pat, like I've said for our other guests, if all things go according to plan, this is the final Seahawk Talk for this season, and hopefully we'll be out covering games and seeing each other face to face. Any final thoughts or notes? Anything you want to say to the listeners here, as this would hopefully be your final appearance on Seahawk Talk for some time.
I didn't realize that. I didn't realize this was the final. So no, thank you to Ed, thank you Andrew and your staff. It's been a great experience. And then overall, I just want to wish everyone happy holidays and happy New Year, most definitely. And can't wait for 2021 to come soon enough.
Awesome. Yeah, Pat, very appreciative every week of you or the assistant coaches and your athletes who have come on the program for taking the time each week. So same thing I've been telling everybody. Enjoy the new year, and I hope to see you soon with my own two eyes, face to face. Can't wait for it.
Awesome. Have a great day.
All right, take it easy now. That's Pat Cooney, the head coach of our men's lacrosse team. We're going to go finally to an assistant coach with our baseball team, Andrew McKeon, joining the program for the first time. Andrew, how are you?
What's up, Andrew? Good to see you, my man, and glad to be here.
I'll say the last time I saw you, it was March 11th. Things were not so happy then. You're coming off a big baseball, a non-conference win. Things are feeling good. We're heading to Florida, and then that's not happening. And then everybody knows the rest is history, so to speak. And a lot has happened. So I know for you, the development of your players is really important. You guys focus a lot on what you can do in an off season, and what guys can do in the summer, and what guys can do throughout a year to get better. How would you assess where development and player development is right now, and how has COVID kind of thrown a monkey wrench, or maybe it's helped you adapt in a certain way to this kind of landscape for how you want to build and grow players in a team from March till now?
Well, I think this year, obviously, it's been very different, but it somewhat plays right into our hands in the way that we look at player development because everything that we do is based on the individual. And that's a really important piece of how we try to make our guys better. So everything from their lifting programs to their throwing progressions, everything is based on to how they process things, how they understand things, and also how they move. And it was really difficult making sure that we're communicating what to do at different times during the shutdown. But what made our guys really take this by the reins is their ability to understand themselves. I'm a big self-reflector. I like to reflect on what I do well, what I don't do so well, and how I can get better. And I try to instill that in our guys. So while they're at home sitting alone during March, April, May, and even at times over the summer, I think it's great that they were able to look at themselves and say, hey, how can I make the best of this situation? And I think it really showed when they got back to campus and in the fall. And those guys really were ready to go. And I think it was really refreshing to see the guys who put their stock into their development, making sure that they come back and were ready to compete at a high level. So this past fall, it was really refreshing to coach a group that was hungry, ready to get back on the field, and just wanted to play baseball and be as good as they could possibly be. So again, it forced them to look intrinsically and see what makes them tick, see, what works for them. And as a coach, that's awesome to see because it makes my job easier. And there's times where I can take a step back and say, hey guys, what do you feel here? What do you think? And they kind of they answer their own questions. It's awesome. And I think we're in a really good spot because of it. Of course, the whole shutdown really screwed some things up and it was tough at first, but I think we're really in an awesome position because our guys really made the most out of it.
I say, isn't that the biggest challenge of you could come up with as many ways to do virtual workouts and I can do a live stream and watch you throwing in your backyard. It all comes down to their motivation, right? Their willingness to do those things.
Well, Coach Sorrell and I say it all the time. You can bring a horse to water, but you can't make the horse drink. So again, I'll say it a million times. It's refreshing that these guys took ownership of their development, took ownership of their program and their baseball careers, and as well as their academics too. Because even with everything last semester, we were still a 3.19 in the classroom, and that's saying something because there's a lot of kids who struggled with virtual learning. It's really difficult, and I know I probably wouldn't be very good at it. So it wasn't just the baseball stuff; it's the academic stuff as well. And we have an awesome group, and they really want to uphold the championship culture that we have with our baseball program and within our athletics as a whole. So it's really fun to work with a group like that.
In your short time at Salva, you've gotten to experience like you said, the championship success. Now you go through this crazy year to be player, coach, administrator, broadcaster, anything. It's been bizarre and it's had its struggles. How will you take going through this, and how do you think it will maybe benefit you being a young coach, that you've gone through something like this and can use it to draw as experience from for years to come?
Well, I think it's definitely made me better because I always want to do something. Yeah, there's times where I can step back and relax and kind of, smell the flowers and enjoy whatever it is around me. But I want to be able to continue to develop as a young coach, as a young professional, and just as a human being as a whole, because I ask the same of our players. So back when I'm sitting at home and there's really nothing to do, nothing's open, you can't really go anywhere. I put a lot of stock into learning as much as I could in the baseball realm and the player development realm. I read a bunch of books, and I didn't want to just sit in front of a TV or play video games, or I wanted to make the most out of it. So it's really helped me look within myself as well and to see what I can get better at. And I try to bring something new to the table every single year. So while the circumstances are what they are, it doesn't really matter if you just figure out how to make the best of it and just continue to plug along. And we saw that within not only our baseball program, but within athletics as well. You guys putting together SeahawkTalk and so many other initiatives in terms of improving the facilities. There's a lot going on behind the scenes that people might not see. And I think as a whole, a lot of people have done a great job to continue plugging along and making things better for our student athletes.
has there been any one resource or one place or person you've gone back to the well for ideas or tips or tricks or insights here? Some people found there were baseball podcasts and stuff that they were able to go and get ideas from. Anybody you'd want to shout out or things that come to mind, like, I kept going back to this guy, he had great ideas or something?
One thing I really looked into, and 5 or 6 years ago, I had looked into the concept, was there's this guy, his name is Perry Husband, and he wrote a bunch of philosophies in terms of how to pitch and pitch selection and pitch calling, and just how to attack hitters and what you're looking for, and how different pitches can play at different speeds in certain areas based on what type of pitcher you are. And I had like a superficial understanding of it before, and I never really got in depth with his work. And back in March, he had like a 4 or 5 book series, and I took a look into that, and it was really cool. It was really eye-opening. And I'm the type of guy where I don't need to, like, if I read something, it doesn't become the Bible right away. I want to digest it and pick some pieces that I think would work for this guy, work for that guy, throw this out. And I think that was something that really was awesome to get into the nitty-gritty. Outside of the baseball realm, I Malcolm Gladwell, who is he used to write for the New Yorker. He's probably my favorite author, and I've read his books for the past 4 or 5 years, and I got a chance to read 2 or 3 of them during the shutdown, Outliers and The Tipping Point, and it just gives you a different perspective into just what's around you and how different people pick. And I think it actually fits right into the theme of this whole shutdown. His book, David and Goliath, was about how your strengths can actually be your weaknesses, and vice versa, your weaknesses can actually be your strengths. So I think that's something that's directly applicable to the situation that we find ourselves in. And it's really interesting to take a look at that, see what some people dealt with, and like say, hey, like I'm dealing with that right now, or I understand how that feels. So it's a really cool way to look into how you process things. And it also, for me as a coach, it helps me understand how players process things, because in the end, that's what it all is about. Because if I can't understand how somebody's processing this and how to reach them the right way, I'm not going to be able to do my job as best as I can.
Do you know if you've put in your 10,000 hours yet?
Hey, so actually it's funny. You say the 10,000 hour, and that was really cool. He actually doesn't believe in that anymore because
really,
yeah, it's interesting. There's another book called Range where David Epstein, who used to write for Sports Illustrated, I think it was.
Yeah.
And he was talking about the difference between like a Tiger Woods versus a Roger Federer. And Roger Federer, he played a million sports growing up. His mother was a tennis pro, I believe. And he didn't really fully invest in tennis until he was like 14 or 15. And then there's Tiger Woods, who just had a golf club in his hand from the moment he was born.
Yeah.
And he still has a golf club in his hand, and he's probably at 10 million hours. But it's interesting to see how there's different like artists, there's different singers, there's different everything that didn't really fully invest into something until people would think maybe it's too late. So he was actually, Malcolm Gladwell is actually quoted in that book as saying like, hey, the 10,000 hour rule, which I had put forth, might not be the be all end all. So it's really interesting to see both points of view, because you read Malcolm Gladwell's work and then you read David Epstein's work, and you put the two together and it's like, wow, like what is there really believe? So it leaves a lot into your own interpretation.
Yeah. And each person, the truth's always somewhere in the middle. You kind of talked about the coaching aspect of it and being able to coach guys. I feel like this is just maybe could be a generalization, but how much has pitching coaching changed from 20 years ago when you were playing to now? I mean, I feel like I can't picture. I highly doubt guys 20 years ago, maybe at the pro level, definitely not the D3 level. We're talking about spin rate and angle. It was more just like throw a fastball, throw it hard. Like, you know what I mean? Is that too much of a generalization, or has what the coach has had to understand and grasp, or at least at this level, what they're asking their athletes to understand and grasp has changed dramatically in my eyes?
Well, let's put it this way. If I look at myself as a coach 2 or 3 years ago, I'd say 70% of the stuff that I was doing, I either don't believe in or have modified because of things that I've learned. And it's not just with the technology piece, it's just the way that we're starting to look at the human body and the way that we're starting to process individual based stuff. So yeah, there's the technology with the analytics, but it's also there's certain concepts and certain things that you're taught as a baseball player and growing up that just continue to evolve. And we're in a really interesting time in baseball and athletics in general, where all of this technology, all of this science, all of this research that wasn't available before because the world wasn't as connected is now coming to the forefront, and it's challenging people to look at things a different way. So I guess to answer your question, there are a million different things that we try to do differently every single year. And I don't think we would be doing the best thing for our players if we didn't look at ourselves and say, hey, like, I taught this, or like, I like to do this. Like, do you think that's really the best thing? Because learning about yourself as a player is the same as learning about yourself as a coach. You want to understand what you believe in, stick to that, and make it as great as possible while adopting a ton of new stuff as well. So we take a lot of the analytics into account. We take a lot of the science into account, and we try to, there's so much information that you can almost get information overload. So we try to stick to what we do best, because it's better to stick to 2 or 3 things that we do well and we believe in, rather than try to do 8 million different things, because things get watered down that way. You want to make sure that you're doing what you believe in and making sure that you fine tune it before you move on to the next thing.
Is that what makes Salve baseball special? You guys focus on, you do have the analytics, you're focused on science, but then there's also still so much of the element of just the soul of the game and that gut that goes into it.
We try to be that perfect mix between old school and new school. And just like you said, the best place to be is somewhere right in the middle. So like, we take some of the analytics, we throw it out. We take some of the old school stuff and we throw it out, and we try to merge everything together and validate what we're trying to teach. And like this, there's time and place for everything. And, different people understand it differently. And again, it changes based on, who we're playing or who we're talking to. And there's a million different ways to skin a cat, as they would say. So it's not just one or the other.
This might be a rare opportunity for you, Andrew, since hopefully this is the final week of Seahawk Talk and we're getting to games. You're going to get the final word here for baseball, not Eric. So
Wow.
what are your expectations, hopes, and maybe a final message for anybody tuning in and watching that's interested in the baseball team?
Let me start by saying what an honor it is to have the last word for the baseball team. It's usually not me. It's usually Coach Sorella, and rightfully so. But I'm really excited. I really am. This is the most excited that I've been since I've been on staff. And I think things have gotten to a point where the guys have really taken this program by the horns, and it allows us to take a step back as coaches and as administrators as well, because they really understand what goes into it, what they need to do to be as good as they can be. And I fully expect to be as competitive as anybody in the country, anybody in the region, and be the best version of ourselves day in and day out. I'm really excited to get going and just see all the guys again. I know that we've had some great communication so far during the winter, and I know that they're going to be ready when we come back. So excited is probably an understatement. I can't wait for the guys to get back, and I can't wait to get back on the baseball field, because it's been way too long.
Awesome. Andrew, thanks for taking the time. I'm glad we did get to have you on the program, so it's good to see you. I echo all of that stuff. We're all very excited to get a season going, and I know you guys are excited as well. So thank you for taking the time. Glad, again, having Eric on. The players who have come on have all been awesome, and looking forward to seeing you with the 2 eyes in person, freezing out at Reynolds Field. I will actually relish it very much, being in that donkey on a cold March morning/afternoon. So I'm looking forward to it.
Me too. Happy holidays, Andrew. Great to be here.
All right, thank you. That is Andrew McKeon, the assistant coach for our baseball team. We're going to take a short break and be right back with the producers to wrap up today's show. Don't go anywhere. All right, welcome back to Seahawk Talk. I'm your host, Andrew Pezzelli. Want to bring in the producers now, Joey Morelli and Mike DeFusco, to help close out today's program. Fellas, I always like to get your thoughts first on anything that our guests had to say here today.
The very beginning, actually, Jody had a little quote that I will roughly summarize. It was like, this experience will bond us all. And I think that's just so true, because it is like, it's not like winning the national championship, but it is like a shared collective experience that we all now have. So yes, I think it will bring us together. And I think that's a positive way to just look at this thing as a whole going into 2021 now.
Yeah, I think that's like a really good way to think about it. And like, I know you guys are like, oh yeah, we'll be hopefully be having games and everything, but I think we can still have Seahawk Talk. I don't see why not. When we can't still talk about sport. We talk about how actual practice and the games were going. Like, there's no reason we gotta stop. There's no reason this has to end. Just saying. Something else. At the end, Coach McKeon said he was talking about like the 10,000 hours thing. And then how like the guy later was like, it doesn't have to be 10,000 hours, because like, I was even thinking, I'm like, is there anything that I've spent 10,000 hours on? And like, probably the thing I've spent the most time on, just because like I've been doing it since I was a little kid, is like playing Pokemon.
I was gonna say World of Warcraft.
Yeah, like some game, probably Pokemon. Like, and I'm probably nowhere near 10,000 hours. Like, I would say I'm maybe at like 2,000 or 3,000 max in any one thing. And I consider myself pretty good at a lot of the things that I do all the time. So, like, 10,000 hours doesn't have to be the be-all, end-all. And I like that, because I feel like not as much anymore, because I don't hear that as much. But, like, I'm sure back when that was, like, a big thing, the 10,000 hour thing, I'm sure a lot of people were like, oh, well, I'm not at 10,000 hours, so I clearly am not that good. And so it's good for the guy who wrote it to acknowledge, hey, like, just because I said it doesn't mean it's right, like, which is good, which is helpful, because you don't want people beating themselves up thinking they're not good just because they don't have some arbitrary number of hours.
I mean, it's only 416 days.
That's a lot.
Oh, that's it? Oh my God. I'm well over that for baseball.
Well, actually, wait a minute. That is straight days.
Like full days.
Yeah, like full days. Yeah.
So I mean, I guess you have to divide by a 24-hour work week and or a 40-hour work week. You could have to approximate some things. So it's probably closer to like 500 days.
Okay.
But again, when you think about it, not that long. It's been how many days since I left school in March. So, that is. I wanted to ask you, Mike. I mean, you were a baseball player, so you've played for Eric and Coach McKeon. Any thoughts on what he had to say about the Salve baseball approach, how blend of old school, new school, it being somewhere in the middle?
Yeah, it's definitely been an evolving thing for the team here. When I first came in as a freshman, it was very, I would like define it as very old school. That was before Coach McKeon had come. The approach was pretty much hit singles through the 4-3 hole to the other side. That was more designed as a team we had. We couldn't do the things that we're doing now with, we didn't have guys who could do the launch angle thing and, hit the ball a mile. Like, it was guys like my size who were, for the most part, we had to just go ahead and just like chip away very in an old school fashion with stolen bases. And now it's evolved to the place where they have the athletes and the people to do so. So I think that's perfect. Like, that encapsulates the team very well. It is a blend of both. But when I got here, I will say it was very old school centered.
Any other final closing notes for today's program from you guys?
I was gonna bring this dolphin thing in, but I think I'll bring it up, but I'll leave the picture out. There was a dolphin that was washed up, but actually this leads to this story, that you should dispose of your Christmas trees in a proper way. That I won't bring the whole article in, but make sure that you're taking everything off.
I don't want to know how those are connected.
Okay. Well, because environment, it's washed up because maybe the oceans are not clean.
Okay.
And people aren't taking good enough care.
I thought it was specifically about a tree. Yeah,
no. So maybe if people had taken better care to throw out their trees in a better way, that wouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
So
put your garbage in the right place.
I would say as a college student, my proper way to dispose of a Christmas tree was through a spring bonfire. A friend of mine, we ran a Christmas tree removal service. So we would go and for free, we would pick up people's trees and we left them in my friend's backyard throughout the spring to dry out. And then over spring break, we got friends together in a big field. This wasn't like just in a backyard, but a big area, and we had a big old Christmas tree bonfire Roasted marshmallows
Oh,
over
I mean,
25 burning
dude,
Christmas
That's a
trees.
good use.
That's clever.
Like,
That is,
it-
see, that's
it-
clever.
Instead of the I don't know what happens to the Christmas trees when they're done with them. They probably just like put them in like a wood chipper. I'm sure they get used for something, but like.
Yeah. You don't buy used Christmas trees? That's when you're really cheap.
God,
I'll
I
save
don't
this one for
wanna-
next year.
Ugh, I don't even want to like.
The
think
one
about
year
how
we
that
put the
works.
Christmas tree out on the porch, just like after Christmas was over, and just we'll leave it there, and it stayed green for months. We didn't water it or nothing. What is going on? Should we just keep this tree till next
It's magic.
Christmas?
I
know.
It's like Frosty the Snowman of Christmas trees. It just you keep the star on it, it lives. It won't go out.
Star on it. Keep
Uh,
it fresh.
Joey, any closing thoughts from you here today before we wrap up?
No, I didn't really have any fun stories to find.
It's okay. I'll let you. I know you'll have some for tomorrow. So
Yeah, I'm sure.
Detective Morelli never fails. Well, fellas, great job here today. 4 more episodes to go. I know Joey doesn't want to, but all good things, come to an end. Hey, we're hopeful. If we got games, we're gonna be too busy out at games to do Seahawk Talk. That'll be the good thing.
It's more active.
Maybe we do a once a week show. We'll work on it.
Yeah.
We'll negotiate. We'll negotiate. We'll negotiate.
No,
something.
me and you, we could just take it up if Andrew and Ed are out
we'll
there.
just
Yeah.
have our own show.
Yeah, we'll do it. Might not even be about sports anymore.
Nothing wrong with it. It'll just be about
Yeah.
We got
monoliths.
radio. We got Seahawk Radio. We can do it.
It'll be the Joey and Mike Monolith show. Fellas, great job as always, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.
All right.
All right, talk to you tomorrow.
All right, that's Joey Morelli and Mike DeFusco, the producers here on Seahawk Talk. We are live every day. This is our final week of Season 2, Monday through Friday, 3 to 4 p.m. on the Salve Athletics Network. That's Facebook, YouTube, and Periscope through Twitter. Want to thank our guests. Again, here today we had Jody Mooradian, Adam Zaccara, Pat Cooney, and Andrew McKeon. Big thanks to them for coming on, and big thanks for them throughout the year taking the time to come on the Seahawk Talk program. Always appreciate their insights. You can like, follow, and subscribe to any of our platforms to go back and watch any past episode of the show. And you can also subscribe to the Seahawk Talk podcast through Sounder FM or wherever you get your podcasts from. That'll do it for us here today. We'll be back tomorrow on Tuesday at 3 p.m. Until then, I'm Andrew Pezzelli. Have a good night, everyone.